Hi guys. Okay, so today we're going to be swapping out the camera on our Tinyhawk 2 Freestyle. I've already swapped this out before, not done a video on it, but I did it with the beta FPV camera that came in my 95XV2, and I changed that to digital because I didn't really like the RunCam Nano 2. It's not that the RunCam Nano 2 is a bad camera, it's a good camera. There were just certain colours I didn't like in it. But I'm not major in love with the beta FPV one either. So we're going to go to the caddx Baby Ratel 2. Now this little one's got a 1.18 inch starlight sensor, so great for the low light, and I was really looking forward to the nighttime vision on it that it seems to have. It's got a slightly bigger field of view than the RunCam Nano 2. This has got 155 and the caddx has got 165. The latency is comparable. The weight is pretty much the same. I think this is 3.2 and this is 3.3 with the cable. This has got a metal body, whereas the RunCam is plastic, so this in theory is tougher. And although this new one, we're going to call just because they're both nano, we'll call this the caddx and this the RunCam. The caddx, although having a bigger field of view, has got a smaller lens, which is quite cool. So less to hit. Maybe 1.5 mil on length, 2 mil on length, but if you're going to include the little plugs on the back, then it's quite a bit longer. But just from board back to lens front is 2 mil difference, and then there's the plugs. Obviously the RunCam is pre-soldered, and the caddx has got cables to go back in the plug. I think they're comparable on latency. I think this is 8 milliseconds upwards to, and this one's 7 on the RunCam. This has got the 4.3 ratio and 16.9 and fully adjustable through our board on the on-screen display. It comes with an adapter if we've got to go into a bigger mounting. I think it's 14 by 14, the same as the RunCam. And then we get the cables for adjustment and connection cable. Looking at the plug, we got a different plug and a different orientation on the earth, ground and video signal, so we'll have to change that up and change that out when we connect it. Okay, so let's get stuck in and get that little puppy changed. Okay, so as if by magic, check out the little upstands. Pleased with those little aluminium ones. Got them from eBay from a Chinese seller. Really had a struggle finding 15mm ones. And then having a little go. So when I swapped over the initial camera, swapping the cable, putting the little tiny JST connectors into the plug, trying to just do a straight swap like that, it didn't work very well because they were actually you can get different size ones of these, and not just different size chunkiness, but there's a little catch on the back here that when you push it into the plug, that it locks on the little finger. There's a distance, and distance from the tip to the catch, and so I had to buy a few different ones to get the right size. So now we're having an attempt at making these. Now they're not easy. So it's taken me a bit of time, and I found so far that this is definitely the easier way to do it, leaving them on this bar here first. Because obviously trying to hold something so small while you bend over the tabs is just a nightmare. Even on the bar, it's a nightmare. I'm sure there's probably a special little tool, a little crimper tool that I don't have. There you go. One down. So what I'm doing is I'm tucking, you've got 4 little tabs sticking up. 2 at the back for pinching it on the flex, 2 at the front for pinching the actual cable. So I'm putting it in just past the flex, pinching that down with my nail, and then attempting one flap over first, thoroughly tucking that round and over, then bringing up the other side and trying to flap that over the first one. I'm using a head torch so I can see a little bit better. Doesn't help that I've got a dodgy eye. The helping hands wouldn't really hold this for me, so it's too much pressure I've got to put on this. Right, that's the flex done. Another one for the cable. It's definitely challenging. Two down. Last one. So there's our cable. What we'll do is we'll check that that's working okay. Nice. Okay, success. Okay, so here is our menu. We've got brightness, exposure mode, globe, BLC, don't know. Kind of like BLC better. Shutter, auto, gain, auto. White balance, got that on auto at the moment. Day and night. Alright, so there's black and white, colour. So we'll leave that on colour. Otherwise it will switch between black and white and colour. Image enhance, so we've got sharpness auto, colour gain auto. Really like how adjustable this is. We'll leave it on PAL. HD format. (16:9) I like it on. Excellent. Next issue that I had was that these connections here, when the camera was mounted the right way up, they fouled on the board. So I've changed that, and then what we're going to do is in the settings we're going to invert the camera. And that will allow us to get a more aggressive angle. You could get a decent angle, but if you wanted to get a full aggressive pitch on the camera, it was interfering with the board, unfortunately. So I'm going to put that in. Connect up our board. Go into our settings. And try and find invert. There we go. Okay, no, that's not what we want. There we go, so to change them both. We change the horizontal and then we change the vertical. And then we've got it. Awesome. There she be. It's in. All happy, looks good, nicely protected. Got the straight cable going right the way through direct. The angle's a bit of a downer, that we can't have the full angle of tilt. We're limited to up at the angle that I've got it with a few degrees, and then down lower with a few degrees, but nothing in between. That's a shame. That is a shame. It would be a deal closer for me if I couldn't get the angle that I wanted, but I got the angle that I wanted, so I'm okay with that. But it's something to be aware of if you're thinking about this swap yourself. So let's get it out, let's see what it can do, and see if we're happy. There we go. Banging. Much better camera. Actual on camera performance, that one, the Nano, kicked the Runcam's ass. It had better dynamic range, better details, better colour handling, better shadows, better sun. You know, it didn't have those stupid artifacts in the leaves with the purpling. Absolutely brilliant. What you saw was 4:3 on this one, and then on the Runcam was 16:9. That's because of the regions. One is NTSC and one is PAL. And my goggles, the Eachine EV200Ds, they record in 4:3 in one of the regions and 16:9 in the other, and I couldn't change that. A bit of a shame for the comparison, but in effect, all it means is that this one was using you were seeing the full sensor. When it's 16:9, it just literally cuts the top and bottom off of the image that you were seeing. So you're actually seeing more of the image on this. It did give a little bit of distortion at the edges, but that wasn't the same through the goggles. So I'm really pleased with this. The only down with this camera is those plugs at the back, not allowing that full articulation of the camera within these little cheeks here. Now I've got the angle that I wanted, so I'm okay, but you need to be aware that you only get this higher end of angle and then the very lower end of angle. You don't get in between. So that is gutter. If I can find something that's got the full articulation with this kind of image quality, then I'll probably change it. But right now, banging, well happy. There's a bit of a pig with the connectors. I bought these from UNMANNED Tech. There's this little JST SH 1.0 connector, and I bought these cables, and they're both from UNMANNED Tech. Now these cables come with connectors that fit perfectly into this connector, into this plug, which goes into the board. Happy days. But what went into the back of the camera, that was a different story. That was these little chunkier, stubby nosed connectors. Not quite the same. So these connectors here were too long for this, and it was the distance between the tip and the bit that sticks up and retains it within the plug, the bit that catches on these little fingers. So that was where I had to buy these puppies, and that was the most difficult bit. I had to buy a few different ones until I found the exact perfect ones for what I needed. So if I could find where I got these from, because I bought so many different ones, it's going to be a bit of a trawl to find them, then I'll put a link in, because that direct cable rather than join is better. You can just join a cable, but for image quality, the direct cable going through with no joins in it is always going to be favourable. But what we've done now, we've changed the motor. We changed the motor, so you can see how to change the motor in one of the videos, and we did it with the ones that have got the collars on the bottom for better protection from Banggood, although it doesn't show you that in the picture. The new ones have got a collar on the bottom, which is different to the ones that came with this as stock. We've put the bumpers on from Thingyverse that we got Lee from 3D Aqua to print off to give protection to the ends of the arms and a bit of protection to the bells on the motors. We put the flywoo LEDs on the arms for a little bit of bling bling. We put a splash deck in the bottom to give a bit of protection from impact and water. We put the Crossfire nano receiver in. We put a minimortal on the back. We did have the Immortal T originally, but then we changed it to a minimortal. We put the aluminium upstands in for more rigidity and ease of tightening up and cramping, way better, just so much better. We put the XT30 on for better current flow and less sag. Probably going to get the TPU part done that will fit on the back here, that mounts the XT30 in neatly with no flappy cable. That will probably be another thing that I may do on this frame. We did the UFL connector on the board and changed to the right hand circular pole lollipop. In the video when I did this, I did suggest that maybe we would put a thicker zip tie on there for more rigidity, which I did do, and it has given way more rigidity. And I've zip tied it at that correct point here. That means I can bend this in any direction, and it puts no stress on the join back up here. So we've covered so much on this already now, and the last thing to do, after just so many people requested it, I really didn't want to bother. I didn't need to do it really for me, but I'm going to do it because it finishes the range. Is I'm going to put in the new VTX. So I've chosen the Eshi Nano V2 VTX. It's got smart audio on there and 400 milliwatts. Now obviously in the UK 25 milliwatts is our limit, so you know, for legal purposes I need to say that to you, but for educational purposes we'll be fitting this one in and testing it out and seeing what kind of performance it has. It's quite diddy, so hopefully we can squeeze that in there somewhere nice. But that will be in the next video, and then after that, the last thing, if I do decide to do it, will be the frame swap. And the only benefit of the frame swap really means that if you want to change the motors, so if we find a frame that has got 4 pot pins, we can change the motors to something else if we wanted to. But that's the next video, changing the VTX. I hope that was helpful as always, guys. I hope it did something for you, and if it did, please hit that thumbs up and the subscribe if you fancy it. Nice one. Cheers, guys.